Welcome to the presentation about rules in SailPoint's Identity IQ. My name is Sandilya Kravidi, and in this presentation I would be speaking about what exactly the rules in SailPoint's Identity IQ are and various rules that are present across the SailPoint's Identity IQ. Let us start with basics regarding the rules. What are rules in SailPoint's Identity IQ, and what are common characteristics of all the rules that are present in the SailPoint's Identity IQ. Identity IQ as an identity management product has its own default ways of performing various tasks that are related to the identity management. It is usual that the default behaviors should be modified to suit the business needs of the organization. A rule in SailPoint's Identity IQ is a piece of code that could be plugged into Identity IQ at plugin points that are specified by Identity IQ. All you need to do is import an XML file representing the rule or develop it using the rule editor, which is a simple graphical editor provided near the plugin point. After creating the rule, we select the required rule from a drop-down list that is provided near the plugin point. Rules are usually developed using a scripting language called Bean Shell. Bean Shell syntax is very similar to Java, except that it is very relaxed. Java's strong typing conventions need not be followed here. For example, you need not declare a type variable before using it. There are various other ways in which the Bean Shell is simple. Rules are executed while some or other task is getting executed. They are input with well-defined variables and expect an output in a specified format. Using the input variables, we get data objects that would be required to perform our customization. Using output variables that we return, we could modify the default behavior. All the rules in Identity IQ are provided with two common input variables. First, let's discuss about a variable by name log. Identity IQ uses log4j as its logging framework. Log variable will help us use this logging facility. There are 5 levels of logging that we would use, and depending on present configuration of the log file, the logs shall be logged. The 5 levels of logging are fatal, error, warning, debug, and off. They are in order of severity. For example, if the present logging configuration is set to 1 log level, the debug log level shall also work. The methods that we are going to use for logging are log.fatal, log.error, and similarly for all the other log levels we are going to have some other methods. Next common input parameter to all the rules is context. Context represents the present cell point context in which the rule is run. Using the context, we can perform various functions like authenticating ourselves as a different user, accessing various database objects that are present in the Identity IQ database. Similarly, we can mail other people using the email templates that are present in the current installation. We have divided the rules in Identity IQ into various categories for easier understanding. First, we speak about the application configuration rules. As part of this, we will be modifying the default behavior of connector regarding aggregations, provisioning, and many others. First, let's speak about the identity creation rule. The identity cubes in Identity IQ are created with the help of authoritative applications. Identity creation rule helps us modify how this identity cubes are created. This rule is usually used to assign the default capabilities to the identity and set a password to the identity and many other such initial tasks. So an initial identity is going to be created by the Identity IQ, and the inputs to this particular rule are the identity that is initially created and a link. Links in Identity IQ are representations of application accounts. In this particular scenario, the link refers to the account in authoritative application that is currently under consideration. Based upon this particular account or link, the new identity shall be created. Any changes that need to be made before the identity is actually created, the identity cube is actually created, are made on the identity object that is passed to us. These changes are going to reflect back in the actual identity cube. Links that are aggregated from the application accounts need to be correlated to an identity cube in the Identity IQ. This could be done using correlation configuration or a correlation rule. Correlation rule helps you with custom correlation logic. The inputs to this rule are a link that represents the application account and a resource object that is created during the aggregation. This rule expects a map containing the identity name or identity object and correspondingly their values. In case it can't resolve your output to an identity, it is going to create an uncorrelated identity. Manager correlation rule usually runs during the refresh task. This rule helps us customize how Identity IQ finds the manager of a specific identity cube. This rule provides us the connector that is being used for the application object, the link that is representing the application account under consideration, current value of the manager attribute at the identity cube. The output the rule expects is similar to the identity correlation rule. Just like the identity correlation rule output a map containing identity name as the key and corresponding name value as value of that particular key, or an identity object similarly is expected. Source object from the account details that are obtained from the application. Resource object customization rule helps us modify how a resource object is created. Using this rule, Identity IQ lets us define how an application account in the Identity IQ would look like. Usually, a lot of data preprocessing happens within this rule. The inputs provided to this rule are resource object that is initially created, the application object that represents the application, the state map. State map is a very useful variable. Across the entire aggregation, this rule is going to run for each and every resource object that needs to be customized. State map provides us a flexibility wherein we can store some useful data in this state map, and this data is not going to be erased in the next execution of the same rule. So the data is going to persist across multiple executions of the same rule. Sometimes external data would be required across the aggregation process. Rather than fetching the data for each and every run of resource object customization, the data is fetched from an external source initially and is stored in this map, so that any requirement for the same data is going to be a fetch of data from the local memory rather than through the network. This decreases the latency by huge amount. Before provisioning rule. Provisioning helps us automate assigning or revoking the access to the target application. Before provisioning rule is a rule that would be helpful during the provisioning. It shall be run just before any provisioning plan is about to be executed. This rule provides us with the provisioning plan so that any modifications to the plan just before provisioning happens could be performed. For example, if there are certain entitlements which depend on some other entitlement of the application, we could exclude the dependent entitlements from the provisioning plan. This rule expects a provisioning plan in return. After provisioning rule. After provisioning rule shall be run just after the provisioning. It is very useful when we have entitlement dependencies. For example, we we have a privilege or entitlement that cannot be assigned without some other privilege or entitlement. We can remove such dependent entitlements during the before provisioning rule and in the after provisioning rule, depending upon the success of the provisioning, we can kick off another provisioning for removed entitlements. Manager correlation rule. Manager is a very important attribute in all identity management solutions. In Identity IQ, assigning the manager to the identity can be done using a simple correlation configuration, or it can be completed using a manager correlation rule. The input variables to this rule are the environment, which is a map containing the task variables in case the current evaluation of the manager correlation rule is running inside a task. Application, which is the application under consideration. Instance, which is an instance attribute of the application. Connector, which is the connector used by the application. Link, link is the application account under consideration. Manager attribute, manager attribute value, which helps us in identifying the manager. Quite obviously, this rule expects a map as return value. Expected keys of the map are the identity, which shall contain the identity object of the manager identity, or the name of the manager, or a pair of keys which are identity attribute name and identity attribute value, which refer to a particular attribute on the identity cube. Customization rule or resource object customization rule. To treat uniformly data of various objects across all the connectors, Identity IQ uses resource objects to represent the data in the objects. These resource objects shall be further translated into actual groups or links or various other objects. Resource object customization rule helps us customize the way in which the resource objects are created. The inputs to this rule are a default resource object that is created even in case where there is no rule. That's a default resource object that is created without a rule. Application object, which represents application under consideration. Connector, which the application is using. State map, which shall maintain its values across various execution of this rule over various accounts or groups. The return value expected is a modified resource object. Pre-iterate rule. Pre-iterate rule runs just before the data from the file is read. The pre-iterate rule is useful in case we have an encryption that is forced on the file. We can use pre-iterate rule to decrypt the file before reading from the file. In case we do not have a file ready and the file is dynamically determined, we can dynamically determine the file and create a stream regarding this and return the stream that is ready to be read. And the data shall be read from the stream itself. This return value is completely optional. We will be supplied input variables like application, schema, and stats. Stats is a map containing the information related to the file. For example, the file name and the timestamps related to the file when it is the last modified and similar other things as well. Post-iterate rule. Post-iterate rule is run just after a file is being read. It expects no return value. It is useful to delete the files from the server after the aggregation is completed so that the storage space on the server is saved. Also, any logging that should be done after the aggregation could also be completed here. Sometimes we could do some operations such as renaming the file using last used timestamp and similar other operations that are completed after the aggregation is done. We shall be supplied all the variables that shall be present in the pre-iterate rule as well. Build map rule. Build map rule is run once every record or line is read. All the data cleansing operations and calculations are performed over here. For example, the data to be loaded into the identity cubes contains casing problems like some data having uppercase, some other data having lowercase. Using build map rule, we can consistently enforce same casing across the dataset. Also, in case there is some data that needs to be fetched using external database and added to the current application, build map rule can be useful in this regards. This rule expects a map as output where the keys of map are attribute names of the application and values are values corresponding to the corresponding attributes. Also, build map rule is going to provide a wonderful feature called a state map. State map is a place where we can store the data that shall be useful across each and every record. This map shall be passed during every execution without any modifications to the map. For example, if you insert a key value pair into this particular map during the current execution of the rule, the same map with same key and value pairs is going to once again appear on the next execution of this rule. Match map rule. Sometimes it happens that a single record cannot completely represent an account or group. The various records have to be merged so as to create a single account or group object. In such cases, match map rule is used to customize how these records shall be merged. Just like build map rule, it expects a map as a return value. Current map of the object is provided as a map to the input variables. Current record data is provided as list to this rule. Using these input variables, we need to create a new map and return it. A match map is a map containing all the attributes that would be required to speak about a group or an application account, which is a link. Once we create the match map, we are in a good position to create something called a resource object. A resource object is a common representation of the data objects across all the connectors. Using this rule, we can customize the way in which a resource object is created out of the match map. This rule expects a resource object in return which contains all the modifications that are anticipated. The variables supplied to this rule are object, which is the default resource object that is created in case the map to resource object customization rule is not present. Application, which represents the application under consideration. Connector, which is the connector that shall be used by the application. State map, which shall persist information across various executions of this rule, just like the state map in the build map rule. Managed entitlement customization rule. Managed attributes are those attributes that shall be managed by the identity IQ. Managed attributes are certifiable. They are stored using a class called managed attribute in the identity IQ API. This class provides us the flexibility to have various details regarding the managed objects, such as the name of the managed object, description, application to which it is related, permissions, and many others. Most of the times, this rule is useful to customize the way in which the other attributes belonging to the managed object are created. This rule does not expect any return value but collects the data in a different way. The variables that are passed to this rule are application object that is under consideration, state map, which is a state map similar to the one that is discussed in the build map rule. Any changes to the identity IQ managed objects are directly returned to the attribute object that is passed to this rule. Identity filter rule. This rule during the application configuration is used with the password management features that are provided by the Identity IQ. Sometimes we may need that a particular group of people should have one password policy and other group of people should have more stringent password policy. To differentiate such groups, we can use identity filter rule. It is a rule of type identity selector rule. An identity filter rule shall be run for every account that is present with the application. This rule shall be passed two main variables: identity, which is the identity under consideration; role name, which is the role applicable for this identity. We shall take an appropriate decision whether the current policy should include this identity and return true if the policy has to be evaluated against this user, false if we need not evaluate this policy against the current user. Rules with activity configuration. Activities is a rarely used feature in Identity IQ. Using this feature, Identity IQ could aggregate information such as user logins, password resets, and password changes at the target application itself. Using this feature, useful reports could be developed. The next set of rules shall be used with the activity configuration. Activity transformation rule. Activity transformation rule may be compared to resource object customization. Once an activity object is created, we can customize the way in which this object shall be stored. For example, we can transform native names for login ID into consistent naming across Identity IQ installations. Activity correlation rule. Once an activity object is created, just like a link, it needs to be correlated to some identity in which it could be related to. Activity correlation rule shall take care of such correlations. Rules with provisioning policies. Provisioning policy is the definition how the provisioning forms shall be filled. Identity cubes usually contain a lot of information in them. This information could be used across various applications. For example, creating a new account in an application might require a last name, a first name, employee number, and date of birth. Such information is readily available from the identity cubes. This could be retrieved and filled as the first name value. The following rules are related to the provisioning policies. Provisioning policy owner rule. Provisioning policy owner is going to decide who shall own this form, who shall fill this form. Any information that is needed and not filled at the provisioning form level shall be filled by requesting the provisioning policy owner for filling this form. The inputs to this rule are, I don't know, rules with composite applications. It's usual in various organizations that a few employees will be working in various locations across the globe, but each of the branches that are present across these locations can be using similar application. One common example is Active Directory. To deal with such scenarios, we will have composite applications which are going to be completely logical in nature and abstract all the applications across various locations. Usually, the identities with the accounts across all the applications under composite application shall be presented with accounts in the composite applications. Composite applications, once created, make the management of these accounts across various locations very easy. For example, during certification, we need not worry about certifying multiple accounts. We need to worry about dealing with only one account at the composite application. So the next set of rules are going to deal with composite applications. Composite provisioning rule. Composite provisioning rule helps us determine the applications in which a link has to be created in case a provisioning request for the composite account is encountered. The inputs to this rule are the application under consideration, a default provisioning plan, which shall be a plan to create accounts in all the child applications. This rule expects that we modify the plan or create a new plan to be executed and such plan be returned. The next category of rules that we are going to deal with are certification rules in SailPoint's Identity IQ. Certification is a feature of Identity IQ wherein we could certify various objects across Identity IQ. Some of the common certifications are Manager Certification, Application Owner Certification, Role Certification, Role Membership Certification. The next set of rules are going to deal with certifications. Various phases in certification. Certifications have various phases associated with them. They are different time periods to do various kinds of activities as part of certification. The various stages as listed are scheduled, staged, active, challenge, revocation, and end phases. Not all these phases are mandatory. For example, staged, challenge, revocation phases are completely optional in nature. It's up to us to have them or not to have them in our certifications. It's completely based on organizational requirements. Starting with the scheduled phase, it's a phase wherein we have a clear idea of how the certification shall be created and when it shall be created. But the actual certification is not yet created, it's just scheduled in nature. The next possible phase is staged phase. Staged phase is the phase wherein we have created the certification but not delivered the various certification items to the approvers. We have put them on hold for the green signal of the certification owner. Once we get the nod of the certification owner, we can go ahead and deliver the certification. Activation period and associated rule. Activation period is the period where the certification is delivered and various decisions are being made by the certifiers. Associated with this phase is an active period enter rule. All the rules that are run after a phase change are of type phase change rules. So this rule shall have common inputs and common outputs. The inputs to this rule are certification, which represents the current certification, certification item, which represents the specific certification item that is under consideration, the name of the current phase, and the name of the next phase. Various operations that could be performed by this rule are happened just after we enter the activation period. Challenge period and its associated rule. As part of active period, certifiers are going to make various decisions regarding various access privileges in the certifications. Sometimes they may revoke the access as they feel that it is not required. Challenge phase enables users to challenge the revocation decision of the certifier while describing why they would be needing this. The certification items that are challenged are going to be once again sent back to the certifier, and the certification decision shall be reconsidered by the certifier. Challenge period enter rule is a rule that is executed just after the certification challenge has started. Revocation period and revocation period enter rule. After the challenge phase, we come across situations where revocation of various access privileges need to happen. Such phase is called revocation phase. The rule associated with the start of this phase is called revocation period enter rule. As soon as we have this revocation period entered, this rule starts getting executed. End period and its associated rule. End phase marks the end of the certification. Any post certification activities to be performed can be included in the end phase enter rule. Even after the end phase of the certification, there is a possibility that few certification items shall be present about which a decision is not expressed by the certifier. Closing is the scenario wherein we specify a default action to be taken in case a decision is not expressed. As part of closing, we have a closing rule. The input to this is certification itself. Various activities shall be performed using input certification variable and no output is expected. Exclusion rule. Exclusion is the scenario wherein we choose not to certify certain certification items. For example, an account group certification is already completed and a few certification items are already certified as part of account group certification. Now, while running a manager certification, there is no point in certifying the identity for account group present in the previous certification. In such scenarios, we try to remove the certification items from present certification items using an exclusion rule. The inputs to the exclusion rule are certification, which represents the certification under consideration, certification context, items which shall contain the list of items that are currently considered. Items to exclude is a variable to add all the items that a certification shall be including. We should clearly understand that while we remove the certification items from the items list, We should also add them from the items to exclude list. Failure in any of the two operations would not result in exclusion. Pre-delegation rule. Pre-delegation rule is the scenario where we delegate the current certification items to some other identity before actually passing it to the actual certifier. In such cases, pre-delegation rule could be used. Pre-delegation rule could be used in two different ways. The first way is normal pre-delegation, and the second way is reassignment. The difference between them is that reassignment creates a completely new certification item and assigns it completely to the delegate. The inputs to this rule are certification under consideration, certification context under consideration, certification entity under consideration, a state map which could be used to persist information across multiple executions of this rule. Escalation rule. Escalations are a mechanism using which we make an attempt to avoid certifiers who are not taking a decision. So we specify a specific time period at which we are going to check if the certification decision is expressed. If the certification decision is not expressed, we try to escalate these certification items to some other identity. Escalation rule helps us define the escalating identity or work group to which this certification shall be delegated to. The inputs to this rule are certification item, and the output expected is the new owner, which shall be a work group or a simple identity. Sign off approver rule. After a certifier makes a sign off on a list of certification items, this sign off is sent for approval to some other identity. Usually, such identity shall be the manager, which is the default behavior. In case we need to further customize this behavior, we can use a sign off approver rule. A sign off approver rule takes certification under consideration and the certifier who is performing it as input and expects a map containing identity or identity name as return value. Rules with roles. The next category of rule that are going to be dealt with are rules that would be useful with roles in SailPoint's Identity IQ. Roles are logical entities in Identity IQ. They specify access to a specific set of resources, for example, a few application accounts or entitlements, or similarly some other sub roles as well. Roles in Identity IQ are of various types. Business roles and IT roles are most important of such types. The business roles are the roles that we could directly assign to an identity. So the next set of rules are going to be about the roles. Business roles are the only roles that we can actually assign to the identities in the identity IQ. In order to assign such role, we can either request it using lifecycle manager, or we can create a role assignment rule to specify whether a particular identity can have this role. Each and every identity shall be checked for the evaluation of this rule, and if it evaluates to be true, the respective role shall be assigned. The inputs to this rule are role name, identity under consideration. The output shall be a true or false value, which is an indication whether or not this role shall be assigned. General rule. General rule comes into picture when an identity has multiple accounts in an application, and a role which guarantees an account in this application is added to the identity. In such case, one of the links or a new link should be created and sent back as return value from general rule. Only such account links shall be considered to be under the purview of this role. The inputs provided to this rule are is secondary, which decides whether the current link is a secondary account, and role under consideration. Similarly, the identity under consideration, application under consideration, various links under consideration, and allow create, which indicates if creation of one more account is allowed, project which contains the provisioning project for this role. Rules with identity mapping. The next category of the rules that are going to be dealt with are rules that would be useful with identity mappings in SailPoint's Identity IQ. Identity mappings are definitions of various attributes and how these attributes shall be populated. The next set of rules shall be giving us flexibility regarding identity mappings. Value change rule. Identity IQ can be configured to allow modifications to the identity cube. These modifications can be performed by the identity itself, or whoever is given the authority, by just editing the form. Identity IQ provides us a way in which we could perform various activities in case there is any such change. The inputs provided to this rule are attribute definition, attribute name, attribute value, attributes old value, and the attributes new value. No output is expected out of this rule, but any activities that have to be performed should be performed in the rule itself. Identity attribute rule. Identity attribute rule is helpful in involving complicated logic while retrieving attributes data from application accounts so that the identity cube attributes are filled. The inputs to this rule are environment, which defines the task variables of the task inside which this execution of rule is happening, attribute source, and link, which is the application link under consideration, old value, which speaks about already existing value if there is any such value. Attribute value which is to be assigned to this attribute is the return value expected out of identity attribute rule. Rules with workflows. Workflows in Identity IQ are custom asynchronous flows of various activities. Usually, various business processes are defined inside the workflows. The next set of rules are going to be about the workflows. Workflow. A typical workflow in a business process editor looks like this. In workflows, we can have various approval steps, forms, library calls, and many other such things. The next set of rules are going to deal with workflows in Identity IQ. Workflow variable initialization rule. Workflows for temporary storage of data use global workflow variables which will be visible across various steps in the Identity IQ. The variable initialization rule initializes the variable value. The input to this rule are workflow object, which represents the current workflow under consideration, workflow context, which contains all the variables and state information of the workflow, step, which represents the current step. Obviously, it returns a value that shall be initializing the workflow variable. Step action rule. Steps in workflow represent various flow points in the workflow. As part of each step, an action shall be performed. This is the rule that can be used to define what exactly is the action that shall be performed as part of the step. It's a piece of code that shall be running as part of the step. The inputs to this step are workflow, which represents the current workflow under consideration, step, which is the current step under consideration, approval or work item if any details as such are present during the current step. It is expected to return an object which shall be the result variable of the step. Usually, result variables are reflected to some other variable. Various steps in Identity IQ contain their own set of variables for users in this particular steps. For example, provisioning plan, project, and identity are some examples. Step variable initializer rule is just like the global variable initialization rule, except that it is going to initialize the value at the step level. Transition decision rule. Workflows do not always follow a linear flow of steps. They will also be having branched flow, which mandates transition to other steps based on the conditions. This condition can be represented using a rule also. Transition decision rule is a rule that could be used to do the same. The inputs to this rule are workflow, workflow context, handler, which is the handler associated with the current context, current step, approval, or form item in case there are any in the current step. This rule expects a return value which is a boolean value. This determines whether the current step under consideration to be pursued or not. Approval mode rule. Approval mode rule corresponds to how various multi-level approvals are going to happen at the current step. There are many approval modes: serial, parallel, and any are some of them. Serial mode is a mode wherein the first approval is going to be sent for a decision, and after a decision is taken at the first approval, the second approval is going to be processed. In the parallel mode, both the approvals are sent in parallel to all the approvers. After all the approvers take appropriate decisions, the final decision is being made. In the any approval mode, the approvals are sent to all the approvers, and whoever is the first person or whoever is the first approver who takes the decision is going to be the final approver. The approval mode rule lets us define the approval mode to be followed. The inputs to this rule are workflow, the current step, approval item, and form item if any is present. The return variables expected shall be the mode under which the approval shall be processed. Approval owner rule. Approval owner refers to the approver of approval. The approval defined in the step is going to be submitted to the approval owner for a decision. The inputs to this rule are similar to inputs to any other workflow rule. The output expected is the identity object to whom the approval shall be sent to. Because in identity IQ, for groups are also represented as identity objects, the corresponding identity object could delegate it to the work groups as well. Approval description rule. Approval description is a description which is a comment kind of thing describing why this approval decision has happened. The input variables to this rule are similar to inputs to any other workflow rule. The output expected is a string describing why this approval decision has been taken. Rules with scopes. Scopes are the mechanism by which Identity IQ maintains visibility in a customized way. So there are two kinds of scopes: assigned scope and controlled scope. Various objects shall initially be added to the assigned scopes, which means they all belong to one group of visibility. Controlled scopes refer to the administration of the same scope. So people who have access to controlled scope of a scope name can administer people or various objects present in the identity IQ. So the next set of rules shall be speaking about the scopes. Scope correlation rule. Scope correlation rule is used to identify the assigned scopes to which an identity belongs. Scope correlation rule expects a scope name as a return value or a list of scopes to which he could belong to. The inputs provided to this rule are identity, scope correlation attribute name, scope correlation attribute value. Scope correlation attribute could be configured in the configure scopes page in the global settings. Scope selection rule. Sometimes it is possible that a scope correlation rule can return multiple scopes to which an identity can be included into. But Identity IQ mandates that an identity could belong only to one assigned scope. Scope selection rule allows us to select a custom logic based on which the unique assigned scope to which this identity belongs could be decided. The inputs to this rule are identity under consideration, scope correlation attribute name, scope correlation attribute value, candidate scopes, which are the scopes list evaluated by the scope correlation rule as discussed. This rule returns a scope which shall be the final scope of an identity. Rules with work items. Work items are abstractions around specific forms or related things that are assigned by Identity IQ to various identities. The next set of rules are related to some global configurations across Identity IQ regarding how the work items shall behave. Inactive work item escalation rule. Every work item has to be handled by an identity or work group before a specific time period. After this time period, the work item is going to expire. This rule helps us escalate the expired work item to some other identity or work group based on the requirement. The only input to this rule is work item under consideration, and it expects a return value who is the new owner of this work item. Global work item forwarding rule. Usually, the work items could be forwarded to some other identity for further verification or reconsideration or delegation. Global work item forwarding rule enforces a singular policy across all the work items in Identity IQ regarding how to forward the work item. A usual scenario where the work items are forwarded is the current identity is inactive. The inputs provided to this rule are current owner and the work item itself. This rule expects a new owner for this work item as the return value. Self-certification work item rule. The self-certification work item rule is a rule that is specific to the certifications. This deals with a scenario when a certification creation or escalation has brought a situation where the identity shall be self-certifying itself. The inputs to this rule are work item under consideration, creator, who is the identity who has created the certification, the list of certifiers who are certifying, name of the certification, type of the certification, and the return value that is expected is the new owner to the certification. Rules with tasks. Tasks in Identity IQ are processes to be run as per the schedules. The most important tasks include refresh identity cubes and account aggregations. The next step of rules are going to be rules that shall be run as part of tasks. Identity creation rule for aggregation tasks. Identity creation rule is part of account aggregation tasks. This rule shall be customizing any identities that are created, whether they are correlated or uncorrelated. This is just the same rule as the identity creation rule that is encountered with the application configuration, except that it is going to run as part of account aggregations. Group aggregation refresh rule. Any customizations that should be made to the groups during the group aggregation could be done over here. The inputs that are expected here are account group that is originally created, application object representing the application under consideration, and this rule expects a modified account group as a return value to the rule. Rules with groups. Groups in Identity IQ are logical grouping of identity cubes based on identity cube attributes. For example, identity mappings have defined an attribute called location. There could be a group under the attribute value US. Similarly, there will be a group by name APAC and so on. The next rule is going to speak about the groups. Group owner rule. The group owner rule lets you customize the way in which the owner of this group is decided. As discussed earlier, the groups are created during the refresh tasks based on attributes present in the identity IQ. Group owner rule is a rule that shall be used to calculate the owner of the current group based on various variables passed to the rule, such as the group factory under consideration and also the current group that needs the owner to be calculated. Forms are the primary way in which the identity IQ interacts with various users. They are used for collecting data from the users. Approvals and comment descriptions during the certification are a few examples. The next set of rules are going to be regarding the forms. Form owner rule. Form owner is the identity to whom the current form is going to be submitted for completion. This rule helps us customize the way in which we find the owner of the rule. The exact inputs to this rule are determined dependent on the context in which it shall be used. For example, if it is used in the workflows, the inputs are similar to any other workflow rule. The same rule, when used in a provisioning form context, is going to have identity, role, application, template, and fields as the inputs. The output expected of such rule is identity, who is the owner of the form. Form hidden mode rule. The field mode determines whether this field is a read-only field or a writable field. The inputs to this rule are dependent on the context in which it is used, just like any other form related rule. Identity, link, project, account request, role, template, current, provisioning operation being requested are some common inputs. The output expected is a Boolean value that describes whether the field should be read-only or writable. Form attribute hidden decision rule. The field mode determines whether this field should be visible or invisible. The inputs provided to this rule are similar to the previous rule, but here the output, which is Boolean value, shall be determining if the field shall be visible to the owner or invisible to the owner. Form field owner. Field ownership can be determined using this rule. The inputs provided to this rule are similar to all other form rules. The output shall be the identity who shall be the owner of this rule. Form field value initializer rule. Sometimes it is advisable to provide an initial value to the rule even before the form is displayed to the owner. The inputs to this rule are similar to any other form related rule. The output expected is the value that is going to fill the field just before it is displayed to the owner. Form field validation rule. This is particularly allowed values rule. Form fields support two kinds of validations. The first is we provide a list of values and the field value shall not deviate from such values. The second is we provide a validation rule which validates this field. Form field allowed values rule lets us define the validation using the first approach. The inputs to this rule are similar to form, field, and identity, and some others. The output usually expected is a list of allowed values to be validated against. Form field validation rule. The field validation is the second approach to the validation. The inputs provided to this form or rule are form, identity, application, and value of the field. The output expected is a list of messages which are of type SailPoint dot object dot message. These messages are expected to be similar to the error messages indicating what went wrong. For example, in an email validation, we might be interested in saying that xyzx at example.com is sample format of how email should be present. If the written values list returns null, the form is successfully validated. Else, the error messages are displayed indicating what went wrong. Rules with policies. Policies in Identity IQ is a governance feature. Policies deal with scenarios where we can state that a particular state of user corresponds to a violation. This can happen with roles, entitlements, accounts, and risks. For example, a user with a particular entitlement in an application is supposed to be in violation in case he processes exactly the opposite kind of entitlement. A good example is maker checker relationships. The next set of rules are going to deal with policies. Policy owner rule. Policy owner is the owner of the policy. A policy might contain multiple rules. For each and every rule, there can be an owner. But the current rule speaks about the policy in its entirety. This owner shall be the first guy who shall be notified in case of a violation happening. The inputs to this rule are identity for which the policy is evaluated, the policy itself, and a constraint if it is available. The rule expects an identity as return value. Violation formatting rule. This rule is used to customize the way in which the policy is created. The violation could be formatted in a way that we would require. The inputs to this rule are policy, violation, constraint, state, and identity. The rule expects a formatted violation as return value. Rules with account mappings. Account mappings are quite similar to identity mappings, except that we define attributes that are common to every account in every application. So every account shall contain these attributes in additional to the schema defined attributes. The next set of rules shall be defining the rules related to the account mappings. Account mapping application rule. This rule is used to assign a value to the current attribute in question, except that the only source of information could be a link, which is an application account. The inputs to this rule are environment and the link, where link is the application account that we need to speak about, environment, which refers to the variables that are passed to the task. This could be possible in case this rule is running while a task is being executed. The outputs to this rule are the value that shall be assigned to this particular attribute in the link. Account mapping global rule. This rule is similar to the previous rule, except that the assigned value can be from any application across identity IQ. This rule expects a return value which shall be assigned to the corresponding attribute. Each and every application is going to be considered. Thanks for listening to the presentation.